Good morning, seventh grade, last year, 8th grade geometry scholars. For the first part of today, you're solving for x. So we're looking at this whole page. Transversals are cutting through a set of parallel lines. When that happens, when I see this, either one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get two angles that are congruent, or you're going to get two angles that are supplementary. So to figure out which is which, something that I like to do is called the X's and O's method. So these would be my X's and O's, X's and O's. You would always set it up like this. Any angle that has an X is congruent. Any angle that has an O is also congruent. So these two angles are the same, these two angles are the same, these two angles are the same. If I have an angle that's an X and an angle that's an O, they're just going to add to 180 degrees or be supplementary. So when I look at number 1, I know that these two angles are congruent because they are both in an X position. If they're congruent, I'm going to set them equal to each other. So these angles are congruent. I set it equal. And they're not just congruent, they're what we call alternate interior angles. They are inside the parallel lines on opposite ends of the transversal. So once you have this set up, it just says to solve for x. So you would go ahead and solve. X equals, so 2x equals 10. X would equal 5. For number 2, I set up my X's and O's, X's and O's. So I also see that X plus 113 and 105, look at, they're both O's. So that means they are a pair of congruent angles, and they're actually what we call in geometry alternate exterior angles. So I'm going to just set them equal to each other, and I'm going to solve for x. You do the same thing for 3, 4, 5, and 6. When you get to number 7, and you set up your x's and o's, x's and o's, what you notice is, oh, these two expressions, one's an x, one's an o. So they aren't congruent angles, guys. They are supplementary. So they add to 180 degrees. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is combine my like terms. And then finish solving for there to find x. So number 8, 9, and 10, it's the same thing, but make sure if they are congruent, you set them equal to each other. If they are not congruent, like these two, one's an x, one's an o, you set them equal to 180. So numbers 11 through 16, you're labeling what type of angles they are, so make sure you read the instructions to help you. Just to do one example, number 11 would be corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are like twins. So y and x are both to the right of the transversal and on top of the parallel line. So they're in the same exact position. One's just up here, one's down there. After you do that, guys, and label those, you have some more practice graphing. And then you're going to finish with solving equations. You will need a separate sheet of paper for this. For number 23, I want to go over this one because we finally have parentheses. So we have to do what's in the parentheses first. So 3 times 2 is 6r. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. So I distribute first, and then I combine any like terms I have, which I have a negative 1 and a negative 24. So 5r minus 28 equals negative 25 plus 6r. Then I just move my variable to one side. I'm going to subtract 5r minus 5r. This is why we need a separate sheet of paper. This becomes 0. I get negative 28 equals negative 25 plus r. I'm going to add 25, add 25. R equals negative 3.